All right, I am sitting in a beautiful home in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. It is one of the freest states in all of the United States of America, and I'm a Canadian. And the coolest thing has happened to me. I am sitting in a room full of Canadians. We've got guys here from Alberta, Ontario, and Manitoba, but here's the thing. They didn't know each other on the northern side of the 49th. They all met here. And when we got to talking, well, they've got some pretty amazing stories about what drew them to the US of A and some projections for what the future of Canada looks like, specifically for the next generation of, say, entrepreneurs, businessmen and women like themselves. So Randy, I'll start with you, and I want to say thanks very much to you and your wife Diane for hosting the Rebel Media here. We so appreciate it. So tell me, what brought you to Arizona as a businessman?
Well, I'd been a serial entrepreneur and had a number of companies, but I was starting to realize back in the late 80s and early 90s that the government policies were going to be such that I wasn't going to be able to keep what I earned. By my calculations at the time, they were taking about 70% of my income, taxing my business, and then taxing again the money that came out of the business, and then taxing everything that I bought in my purchases. So if I really wanted to be successful and to be able to live the dream I wanted to live, I had to get away from the tax regime that was there.
And talk to me about how that's been different here south of the 49th.
Well, we chose maybe the seventh lowest tax state in the union to come to, and we have a state that's run reasonably fiscally responsibly. I was worried at the time that I left that my children would never be able to afford a home. I could see in the future there would be times when average homes would be $500,000, $750,000, $1 million. And I just couldn't understand how somebody could have a reasonable job and support that level of debt for a mortgage. Whereas here, today, average homes are $300,000, $400,000, and that'll get you a pretty nice home in a place like this. Tax doesn't impact our fuel costs. We're buying fuel for under 50 cents a liter regularly. We don't have as high taxes. We don't have any of the sin taxes that we were subject to in the past, and we don't have a multi-level taxation system that is taking more and more of our income. So that means a guy that doesn't have a university education, that was willing to work hard, could come to a place and actually live the dream and be able to succeed and have some of the benefits of succeeding without the government taking quite so large a share.
Now, Freeman, you're retired now, but you've spent the past several years here. You were able to experience some of your business here. Is what Randy's saying ringing true in your own life as a professional?
Well, I never got caught up in the tax part of it, but I did get caught up in the regulation part of it. And I had a business in Toronto, Canada, and I worked very, very hard, and I felt like the government at the time was going too far in regulating my business, which was a towing company, and they wanted us to actually act like and do the things that taxi drivers do. In other words, prior to doing our service, we would have to give you in writing an estimate of what it would cost you, and we were okay with that, the associations and towing companies. But I said to them, I said, if we do that and we act like taxis, then we should have a license. You'll have a license. Then we should be able to sell that license. No, you can't do that. Well, that's not fair. If you want us to act just like taxis and take away the benefit of when a taxi sells, the car may be worth $20,000 or $30,000, but the license is worth $120,000. You're taking that away from us. That's right. So that didn't help my business at all.
Now, for a lot of people, what makes the choice difficult is how healthcare factors in. A lot of Canadians love their socialized healthcare, for better or worse, and for many people it's for worse, and they fear the idea of having to deal with medical insurance, private insurance, and the American systems and schemas that exist. Art, a word on that. Have you found the healthcare system superior or inferior south of the 49th?
Unfortunately, I think if you're getting something in life that's free, you should question it immediately. And that's what we did. Personally, I've benefited greatly from moving here in U.S. healthcare, in that I felt the treatment. I've had a couple of prosthetics. And certainly that was not to happen in Canada because there was just no funding for it. Whereas I had it done immediately in the U.S., covered by my insurance and some money out of pocket. But the point is, it was a quality of life enhancement that I needed.
Do you mind just taking us a little bit through your personal story about how the Canadian socialized healthcare system responded to your needs, what they told you your options were versus the options that were available to you here?
Well, essentially in Canada, I visited my orthopedic surgeon and needed new hips. Essentially, that wasn't going to happen in Canada. There was just no funding for it. He suggested I look at other means such as a wheelchair or other alternatives. I was in my late 40s at the time, so my mobility was rescinding significantly. Coming to the U.S., I had the operation done immediately. First visit I made to the Mayo Clinic.
Healthcare is top of mind for a lot of Americans right now, all over the papers, but of course it's only one on a long list of priorities for this president. I have to ask, and feel free not to answer because I know it can be rude for sometimes, but are we all Trump supporters or not so much? There's no wrong answer here. Yes, no?
I'm certainly a Trump supporter. I think it's time we had somebody that knew about business running the government, and somebody that's successful in business running the government, and somebody that's going to stick to their guns and make business-like decisions that's going to be good for the country. So I'm anticipating lower taxes, more employment, and a better business environment, which will basically helps everybody, because I will be able to use funds that would normally be taxed out of my company to hire more people so I can provide more services, so that I can make more money so I can hire more people. So I think that's very important. Guys?
I agree. Ditto.
3 Trump supporters sitting right here.
And all from Canada, go figure. What I love about this is you hear the politicians talk about these issues, you hear the platform promises, you see them come out through policy, but you guys have all created jobs. You've brought those jobs that you've created to a different country. I wish that we could have made more hospitable terms for you, if snow and otherwise, okay, rules, regulations, and taxes as well. But regrettably, our Prime Minister in Canada could not be going in a more different direction than where Donald Trump is right now. We see a carbon tax that's been slapped on everything. We see increasing difficulties to say alleviate burdens on the middle class, while saying that, you know, he's secretly working for them in ways that remain a mystery to me. Do you think, when you look at, as I understand, you've all got children in some capacity, do you think that your children are going to be better off being raised in Trump's America than in Justin Trudeau's Canada?
Well, I really can't answer that, being here for, almost 36 years. So I don't know where Canada went because I'm not involved in it. But I know the kids in the United States have a good fighting chance with Trump. I really believe that.
I agree. And the issue that I think that is on people's minds is when you have leadership, and we've experienced this ourselves, it's not good to have a national leader that has never worked in a business, never owned a business, because business drives the economy. And if they have fanciful views of how money is made and how businesses operate, those don't meet reality, and they can't achieve their objectives because the things that make sense to them simply won't work. And so there's a real danger for Canada now, the same way as there's been a real danger for the U.S. in the not so distant past, where we have a leader and an administrator that does not understand how to properly operate, or they don't understand about the care and feeding of the economic engine of the country. And it's very dangerous.
Art, what about yourself? When you see this trickle down, you see all these jobs created here, do you think that being a young person who's looking to either be an employee or an entrepreneur, an employer, is there more promise on this side of the border?
I feel there is. I really do. And if you look at the unemployment rate, you look at as Randy said, the engine that actually drives the economy, and that's private industry. And how do you legislate how a country is going to run if you have no business experience? It really is very difficult. I mean, you can be a wonderful administrator, a great orator, but you don't squat about business. Business drives the economy. Put a businessman there and your likelihood of success is much greater.
Do you think that Canada will ever see our own Donald Trump?
Do you know, I really do.
It's
I really
inevitable.
do. Yeah, I think it will.
It's inevitable. The reason why Trump won is because nobody was listening to the majority of people in the middle of the country that drive that economic engine. The reason that he was successful despite issues of political correctness is because the things he said reflected the way that people felt. And that is a reason why they supported him and got there, and it's the reason why they're sticking with him. So he has a great deal of support. Canadians are fantastic people, and there are people like us throughout Canada that have the same feelings. And somebody will come to understand this, and they will step in that position. And Canada, the people of Canada will do the same thing because they want their children to live in a good and just society. They want a good future for themselves and for the people they care about. And they want very much to be left to pursue those opportunities without the involvement or interference of a bureaucratic government.
Well, I want to thank you all very much for your time today. I've learned a lot. I feel inspired. I wish I'd become an entrepreneur, but luckily I work for one, and hopefully we're making some change. We're definitely creating some jobs north of 49. Thank you so very much for bestowing your wisdom. And hey, are you Canada's future Donald Trump? If you are, please reveal yourself, and sooner than later. All right, for the Rebel.media, I'm Faith Goldy. Did you enjoy that video? If you did, click like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.